What up, YouTube? Maltfrazier in the building. And listen, we got to talk some Team USA basketball today. And, part of the reason I want to talk about the team a little bit is, we're coming off of a historical run last year, right? Like, obviously, Team USA basketball winning gold medals is nothing new. But last year was the first time where we've sent our best players and we weren't sure if we were going to win in the end, right? Like, that's the biggest the stakes have ever been for Team USA when we've had our best of the best out there. And so we got to dive into it because, look, LA 2028 is coming up, man. And our throne is going to be challenged. A lot of people, a lot of teams are going to think it's sweet, especially coming to our home turf. And, we're not going to have our Avengers, Steph, Brian, KD, players that we've been able to rely on for decades to show a big time in these Olympic settings, and really not even just Olympic settings, right? Like, these have been the guys that have been the face of basketball for the last 2 decades or so. KD, Brian, Steph. And so it's time, for the changing of the guard. We got to see who's going to step up. Obviously, a big top topic in the NBA is who's the next face of the league, and everybody's trying to figure out, who's going to be the heir to the throne, so to speak. And we throw out Anthony Edwards, but really the international players are looking like they got the best, chance at kind of the throne, right? Like Luka's been killing it. Shea Gillis-Alexander is coming off an MVP season and a Finals MVP. Wemby looks like he's going to be the best player in the league for the next decade, right? And so when it comes to Team USA, who are going to be those guys that we can rely on to carry on the history and the legacy of Team USA basketball, but also, just our perception, our reputation. It's going to be on the line in 2028. And so we're going to take a deep dive into the team and just try to see what it looks like after we remove the OGs that have been so dependable for many years. And, just speaking of Team USA in general, like, it's been an insane run. Going back to 92, where we sent the Dream Team, that was the first time we sent our absolute best players to the Olympics. And obviously, the Dream Team is immortal, still um, probably the most memorable Olympic team. We can debate on which Olympic team is the best, but, probably the most iconic team still is the Dream Team. And then, you go from that to the 96 team, very dominant. You think about the 2000 team, Vince Carter jumping over 7-foot dude at the Olympics, like literally clearing him and dunking over him, absolutely insane. And then you get to 2004. We let our foot off the gas. We got comfortable. We sent a lot of our young guns thinking, that was enough. We didn't really need to try our best over there. And, Team USA got embarrassed in Athens. Came home with the bronze medal and, losing to Lithuania. Guys who are not going to play in the NBA. And, that Olympics set the tone for where we're at now because Team USA kind of changed their tune after that, right? Like the Redeem Team, it was all business. We about to show the world what's up for real, for real. And that's exactly what happened, right? And so going on to 2012, 2016, we've just been able to kind of carry that on, that dominance. But recently, we had a couple of FIBA tournaments where, to be honest, we're not sending like our top-notch players, but our last FIBA tournament, we finished fourth place. And, we lost to Canada in the bronze medal game. That's not a great look, man. Look, when it comes to international ball, we are the apex. And we need to show that every time that we step on the court. And so giving away world championships, I get it's not the same as like a track and field or a gymnastics or something, but it's just not a good look, man. And these other countries are hungry for those opportunities, right? Other teams are building talent. They're building more confidence. They're building more confidence playing against Team USA. A lot of teams, they've already lost the game before the ball is tipped. You know what I'm saying? Just because the perception of Team USA, what comes with, the legacy. It's like Debo walking down the street. Everybody walking, with their head down a little bit. That's the effect that Team USA has had when they stepped on the court. Now we've lost that fear factor a little bit. Teams is kind of like, all right, let's play ball, let's see what's up, and so we got to check that this Olympics, and it's going to be exciting because France is going to be a formidable opponent. I expect Canada to be really good in a couple years as well, and we'll see what Serbia and the other Eastern European countries and stuff are looking like. But we got to bring it because our reputation is on the line. So let's go ahead and take a look. The way the selection process works is we're going to take our 12 best players to the Olympics, but we have about a pool of 40 players that we're going to pick from, and they're going to be practicing with each other leading up to the Olympics. They're going to be scrimmaging each other, and we're going to take the best from the best out of that group for the most part. Now, obviously, every Olympics, I think there's always a debate on, we left this guy off for that guy. And there can be some politics that go into that for sure. We saw that with Kyrie Irving, Jaylen Brown, two guys that most definitely good enough to be on Team USA. And, they were left off for reasons that didn't really have to do with basketball, right? So, for the most part, it's our 12 best, but a little wiggle room for different things, right? And so with this 40 player pool, looking at last year's pool, it's a lot of vets, man, a lot of OGs in here, and a lot of guys that we can pretty much say that they're not going to be around this next go round. But if we look at the top, I think these first couple of guys got a real good shot on being on the LA 2028 team. And here's the big thing. I'm really concerned about our big man situation because as of right now, we're not expecting Joel Embiid to make no major comebacks and be a part of that LA team at all. So you look at what we got left over. Bam Adebayo, he's a solid center, but for that to be our best dude and we got to go up against Wemby and Jokic, man, that's a little skeptical. I'm not going to lie. Jared Allen, also, I like Jared Allen, really good defender, shot blocker, good player overall. But again, for that to be the best we got to offer, that's a little, I don't know. So those are two guys I think that could be good players, give us good minutes, but definitely hope we figure out, a center situation between now and then because that's going to be a spot where we might be a little vulnerable and maybe we can subsidize that by doing some more small ball stuff. That might be where we have our advantage. But yeah, it's going to be real interesting to see who's going to end up being the big man for Team USA. Now, as I was going through this list, I made 3 different categories. I made a no category for guys I didn't think that'll be a part of the team in 28. I got a yes pile and a maybe pile. Now, most of the players in this player pool fall in the maybe pile because, again, it's 3 years from now. We don't know for sure what some of these players are going to look like in 3 years, whether that means they progress or regress. It's just going to be a lot of players that look different 3 years from now. And a lot of fringe guys, right? Like a lot of these guys who are maybe 28, 29, we probably leaning towards a no, but there could be a situation where maybe they're a part of the group too. So, that was kind of my thought process going through this list. But that next up group, I expect Paolo Banchero to definitely be on this team. I'm expecting his star to only rise, and I'm expecting him to be a premier player 3 years from now in the league. So I expect Banchero to not only be on the team, I expect him to be a starter and a factor going forward. Desmond Bane is a guy that I could definitely see being on the team. Gritty dude, tough defender, can make life hell for the opposing team's guards, and really versatile. He probably could guard some big dudes too on some of these teams for real. So he's not a guy that I look at as like, oh, he's one of the top 12 players that we have to offer, but we are a team, right? And everybody got to play their role on the team. We look at last year, there was a lot of talk about Jason Tatum not playing, and, everybody thought it was hella disrespectful and whatnot. And, I get it. Jason Tatum's coming off of a championship season, and even though he didn't win finals MVP, the consensus is mostly that he's the best player on the best team after that championship, right? And, we know what comes with that. When you the best player on the best team, typically in the past, that means you the face of the league, you the best player, all that good stuff. So I get that kind of outcry that he's not playing or, a factor at all. But that being said, though, with last year's team, man, we didn't need Jason Tatum to be Jason Tatum. Jason Tatum is coming in the game trying to find his rhythm, trying to, find his shot and figure out how he can score and best contribute and all that. And that's good and well. But we talking about a team with Steph Curry, KD, LeBron. Like, bro, we got this. You can go over there. We need you to play defense and rebound and get the ball out to us. That's kind of why I don't think it was that big of a deal. That's why I can understand why his teammate Derek White was playing more than him. Simply because Derek White is used to being a role player. When he comes in the game, he's a third option, fourth option. And guess what? On Team USA, when he comes in the game, he's a third, fourth option, right? And so he doesn't have to change his game or his mentality out there. He's doing exactly what he does all the time. Derek White is a professional third, fourth option, right? And so why have Jason Tatum try to figure out how to go from being a first option to a third option when we got somebody who, does that for a living? And then you consider the fact that we got Anthony Edwards and Devin Booker, guys who know how to put the ball in the bucket. So it's like, where is Jason Tatum impacting the game that's different from the guys that are out there? If Jason Tatum was coming in there, locking guys up, became a crazy rim protector, that's a different ball game. But, so that's how I kind of feel about that. Next up, we got Scotty Barnes, real good young player for Toronto. He's definitely a guy I could see being on that team for sure. Then we got Devin Booker. Now, Devin Booker was, I would say, the unsung hero of that team last year in Paris. He's not a guy that's going to get a whole bunch of recognition and love because we weren't seeing him contribute a whole bunch scoring-wise, but Devin Booker was taking the hardest assignment on the defensive end. He was being a great team player. He was moving the ball around. He was moving without the ball and just doing really the team things that you need in an Olympic squad, right? Like, everybody on this squad can hit for 30. We're not tripping off that. Can they play together and complement each other? And Devin Booker showed that he can do that. And so he would be probably 31, I'd assume, next Olympics. So he's going to be a vet, kind of entering OG status, but I expect he'd still be playing some pretty good ball. And at the minimum, he could be that Jason Kidd role, like Jason Kidd in '08 on that Olympic team was the vet. Still a very good contributor, but he was there to kind of show the younger guys the ropes, right? And so I could definitely see D-Book being that guy as well, just being a guy with experience, already having a gold medal and kind of knowing what it takes to get it done. Mikal Bridges and Jaylen Brown, I feel like if we were going to have one of them on the team, it would just be one. I don't think we would take both of them. I think they have some similar skill sets, but also just the fact that they both going to be, over 30 by then. I'd imagine we'd have some other options, honestly, but I could see one of them being on the team potentially, especially since Jaylen Brown got left off last year. Jalen Brunson, if he's on the trajectory he's still on, most definitely he'll be on the squad. So unless, man, it's tough though. Like, that point guard position, you never know, man. Like, Brunson's a smaller guard, and the bigger guards with the Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, even a Luka in this setting. Would we be in a situation where we chose a bigger guard, of similar talent over Brunson if we're stacked at guard? That could be interesting. But I think Brunson would be on that team. Jimmy Butler, absolutely not. Too old. Caruso, I think he'll be out of there too. I don't see him making that squad. Steph Curry's out of there. Anthony Davis is out of there. KD's out of there. All the Avengers, man. Now, I love me some Anthony Edwards. Very excited about who he is as a player and his trajectory. That being said, Ant Edwards is not the king yet. He's got to take the crown. So between now and LA 2028, I expect him to kind of put a stamp on his name for this new era, so to speak. Maybe that means a championship, but I definitely expect him to make a finals, maybe take out that OKC team that looks pretty unstoppable. That would be a pretty big legacy moment for Ant Edwards in his young career, and kind of setting the stage for him to kind of take over a little bit. But, that's a little wishful thinking. He's got to earn it. and I think he's on his way. But hopefully, Ant Edwards has evolved a little bit by 3 years from now. I expect his game to be on a different level than it is right now. So he's gonna be a big part of this. And when you think about what the Olympic Games kind of meant for MJ in '92, I mean, it was kind of like the official passing of the torch. The torch had already been passed to MJ. He had taken it, but it was like on the world stage, right? Like, man, Mike, he the one. This is his league, And so Anthony Edwards kind of could have that same opportunity. I'm sure the battle for the world's best player will be pretty competitive at that time. And so this could be a situation where the Olympics is an opportunity for whoever that guy is to kind of separate themselves amongst their peers a little bit. So that could be interesting, a few years from now. So Ant Edwards is definitely a big part of the success in 28 moving forward. Moving on, Joel Embiid, absolutely not. He will not be on the team. I can pretty much 99.9% guarantee that. De'Aaron Fox, I don't think he'll be on that team. I think we'll have some better guards to offer, and that's no disrespect to De'Aaron Fox. But, and honestly, he could be on the team. It's going to be a competition between a lot of these guards. So he's in that maybe pile. Paul George, absolutely not. OG for sure. Aaron Gordon, I would not expect that as well. Now, Tyrese Halliburton is a tough one because he's coming off of an Achilles injury, but he's super young, right? He's only about 24, 25 years old. So obviously he could come back and recover from that. But really, we just got to find out, is he the same type of player, post-injury? But if he is, no doubt, Halliburton already stamped as a, member of that team last year. I think experience does help in these settings. So if he's the same player or even grows and improves, Halliburton for sure. James Harden, no way. Josh Hart, no way. Tyler Hero, I say no way. Drew Holiday, no way. Now, Chet Holmgren, I'm going to say for sure. Now, this is another 7-footer, and he's a skilled 7-footer. And we were just talking about how the big man situation for Team USA is hella skeptical. So, last year we had to bring in Joel Embiid. I think he was choosing between playing for France or USA, and he chose USA. But, that was a temporary fill-in. So we definitely got to take Chet Holmgren. And Chet Holmgren is a really good player. He's on a championship team, so I imagine he would bring several winning qualities to the squad. So I like Chet for the squad in 28. Brandon Ingram, no way. Kyrie Irving is a tough one. I think because he's been a gold medalist before and he could play that OG role, obviously very well respected by his peers. I think there's a chance Kyrie could make this squad for sure, but no guarantee. I'm not a big Jaren Jackson guy. I don't think he'd be the big I'd be looking to take. Hopefully there's some better to offer by then. LeBron, absolutely not playing in 28. Cam Johnson is a maybe for me. We just got to see what he looks like 3 years from now. Walker Kessler, also got to see what his development looks like. Kawhi Leonard, absolutely not. Dame Lillard, nope. I think Donovan Mitchell could be on there, but he just got to stay healthy for sure. But if Donovan Mitchell's still hooping, I'd expect him to be on that squad. Chris Paul, no way. I don't think Bobby Portis will be on there. Austin Reeves is, I like Austin Reeves. I'm not gonna lie. I think he might be on that squad too. But man, we just guard heavy, man. Yeah, very guard heavy. I don't think Duncan Robinson will be on that one. I would expect Jason Tatum to kind of be trying to redeem himself, which, we'll see how that goes. We got to see, we just got to see, man. It's so many different variables projecting these guys 3 and 4 years from now. And then Trae Young, absolutely not. Derek White, I'm going to say absolutely not as well. So as you can see, going through the player pool of last year, there's a lot of guys that ain't going to be around for this 28 squad. And so for me, and there's a lot of guys that aren't on this list that I think will be on the team. So, for example, Tyrese Maxey, I think, is on that squad. Cade Cunningham. I could see a Michael Porter Jr. on this team, just having an elite shooter out there if he's able to stay healthy and is still hooping, 3 years from now. So, and then I ain't gonna lie, I'm one of the people, I'm not out on Zion Williamson. I know that might not be popular opinion, but here's why. You look at some of the world teams, like say Gillis Alexander is kind of a freak. Wemby's a freak, right? Like Luca in his own way is a freak in his own way. And we have our own, freak athletes and freakish skilled players and stuff. But when you think about a Zion Williamson, if he's healthy and got his mind on straight, which is a big if, I am here admitting that. But if he's in shape, got his head on right, who could do anything with Zion Williamson in the Olympics? I mean, this dude can jump out the freaking gym, and they ain't got athletes all over the world like Zion Williamson. They ain't got athletes like that in America like that. You know what I'm saying? So, and you got to think in the Olympics, you can goaltend. So Zion Williamson can jump up there and be, really making a name for himself on the Olympic stage. And I'd be excited about that because can't nobody do nothing with Zion. That could be a secret weapon who can kind of change the team a little bit. When he comes in the game, it just adds a different spark or, adds something that the other team can't really prevent. And another guy like that, Julius Randle. I think Julius Randle is another freak in nature, right? Super beast of a player. And I mean, he's going to be older in 2028, so we'll have to see. But again, he's another guy that I look at and I say, man, Julius Randle is hella strong. He can score, he can shoot, he can do it all. And if he's playing well as a team player, he could help the team a lot. So, but I'd be leaning towards Zion for that. It's just a matter of everything gotta, all the boxes gotta be checked. So, we'll see. We're gonna continue to track the Team USA squad. Obviously, a lot of this stuff is gonna change over the next few years. We got a bunch of college guys that'll be factors. Maybe the kid from Philly, VJ Edgecombe, be pretty good. You got Cooper Flag, a lot of young guys. The Boozer twins supposed to be pretty good. So we don't know what this squad gonna look like when they break it down to 12 guys. But I'm excited for it, man. I feel like we got an opportunity this next Olympics to really show the world that we are who we say we are still. We still the undisputed champs of this game we love called basketball. And it's gonna be super competitive. I mean, but we're gonna earn it. And look, we're gonna be led by a different coach. Steve Kerr was the coach the last few times. And now it's gonna be, I believe Eric Spoelstra is the top guy now. So that'll bring some different kinks and wrinkles for LA for sure. And then, leading up to the Olympics, man, we gotta find a way to build some chemistry, I think, because the stakes are so high, man. And look, I get we're not gonna have the design camps and practices that maybe some other countries have, but these guys play a lot during the summer. If we can get more of these players that'll be in the pool to hoop together during the summer and develop some chemistry and some camaraderie, I think that'll go a long way, man, because we're gonna need all hands on deck for this one. So look, y'all let me know what y'all think. Who you got in your Team USA squad for LA 2028. It's never too early, you know what I'm saying? And holla at me in the comment section, and I'll holla at y'all soon. Maltfrazier out.